You know, we have to question all these
Right.
rules, and one of them is religion. And so my kids get to pick their own religion. And you said that you kind of hope that he'd choose Jedi. And I was right there with you, man.
You are.
So yeah, I love that notion. Tell us what are the rules? What's the culturescape? Like, give us some of that, which is pretty empowering.
Well, I coined a word which I call the culturescape. The culturescape is that tangled web of shared subjective realities that all of us are immersed in. And all of us are influenced by the culturescape of our local group. So I grew up as a kid in Kuala Lumpur, and growing up there, my family was Hindu. So I was influenced by the shared subjective reality of Hinduism, the idea of reincarnation. I believed growing up that eating beef was somehow bad. I might go to hell. Well, Hindus don't believe in hell, but I might not achieve oneness with the universe, or I might be looked upon badly by God because I chose to eat beef. That was my shared subjective reality. As I grew up, I went to a British school, and then I came to America. I went to the University of Michigan. And as I get exposed to these different elements of the culturescape, because of this diversity I was part of, I start realizing that not all shared subjective reality is true. So I realized that, you know, my belief that eating beef is bad was just that. It's a belief. It's neither true nor false. So what I write about in my book is how to study the culturescape, the shared subjective realities we are living in, and identify what rules help you and what rules are really rules or bullshit rules. Rules that hold you back from truly living your most extraordinary life. So let me give you an example of a bullshit rule, right? So growing up in an Indian family, there's a lot of pressure to be successful. So if you have Indian friends, they'll probably say this as well, especially Indians who are immigrants like me who live outside India, that your family pushes you to be a lawyer, a doctor, or an engineer. And if you're not any of that, you're a family embarrassment. So Indian kids grow up to be lawyers, doctors, engineers, or family failures. So in my case, I loved art. I wanted to study art. I love performing art. I love getting on stage and acting. I loved photography. But when I went to school, I viewed artists, the idea of me being an artist, as disappointing my family, as the opposite of success. So I signed up for computer engineering classes. I studied hard, went through all of these boring as hell classes that I had no interest in at the University of Michigan, so that 5 years later, I could get a job at Microsoft. And now, boom, I was it. I was working for Bill Gates. I was at Microsoft. My family, you know, they'd saved up over $100 grand for this college education. And now I was a software guy at Microsoft. 11 weeks into Microsoft, I realized I was miserable, and I quit cold turkey. I basically got myself fired. I had no motivation for work. When I was supposed to be in the office, and I confess, and I'm so apologetic to my boss, I would just hold myself up and play Age of Empires because I was so bored with programming. My boss caught me and he fired me, and I wanted that to happen. I realized that for 5 years I was pursuing something that I had no interest in because the rules of the culturescape of being a good Indian kid said, be a software programmer. So I quit. I went, I joined a nonprofit, and that's really when my life began. I dabbled in different things from traveling around the world to meditation to art, but it was through following these passions, it was through ignoring the bullshit rules of the culturescape, but really identifying what really drove me, what made me passionate, that I was able to build the life I have today. And that's really why I'm so adamant about teaching people through my work, through my books, to question everything, to question your religion, to question your societal rules, to question the idea of a college degree. And I have a method for that, which we can talk about later. It's called the 3 most important questions. But that's how I feel all of us should be living life, by questioning everything. And I don't mean being skeptical of everything. There's a difference. I mean healthy skepticism, ultimately questioning the rules of the culturescape so we can stay true to our own inner identity.